Welcome to our tutorial. We are Nutech Systems, and we are your factory track alternative. This video will be showing you Nutech's Viewpoint barcode data collection solution. We will be doing a license plate assembly into CSI Syteline. What this means is I will be building up a couple license plates, showing you this process in terms of what it can do for the efficiency of your business and your warehouse solutions, as well as how they react with CSI and Syteline. Now, let's begin the demo. So, today I'm just going to be demonstrating a tutorial on a process that we call assembling a license plate. And this is basically the way that we would use our devices to manage a warehouse. This process involves grabbing a location in which we would like to build up our license plates, as well as creating our skids, pallets, and more for shipping in the most efficient way possible. Well, if there's anybody who's worked with Viewpoint by now, you might have seen a little bit of all this together before. But what we're really going to focus in on today is talking more about the production side of things. I'll be talking about our license plating, show how we would build those up to prepare for shipment, and then discuss some ideas on the back end of things in regards to tracking and monitoring the freight as it's coming and going. So, first I'll explain the two screens seen here to begin with. On the left here, this is what we have called our Viewpoint engine. So I'll be using this to show kind of the back end pieces of information that we're going to use. The right side of the screen here, this is actually what you would see on the device screen. So this is what our device views, as we call them. This is what they look like, and this is what the users would actually be interacting with out on the shop floor. As you can see, I'm just working on a laptop here running this as a browser. So this is browser based, as you can see, and so anybody that wanted to check in on something, run something, especially on the engine view, you can do it right from your PC. If a user just wanted to do a transaction test or whatever the case, you can also run it on a browser as well. This can even be done with the device side. So that makes things easier right out of the gate there pertaining to where you can work on things. What I'll do now is go ahead and log in here on the right. And what I'm going to start off with is by showing you a process here of what we call, again, assembling a license plate. The idea here is that this is how we would basically start building your boxes or building your pallets that you were getting ready to ship out the door on one of your transfer orders, for example. So if we're going to be doing a transfer order down to, say, really any location possible you might want to ship out to, we would be using these types of transactions to start building those boxes and getting the pallets prepared. Just so everyone can see, my device menu looks a little daunting here. That is just in the light of the fact that this is my demo environment, so I run all my transactions through here. Obviously, for you, we can actually narrow this down to where it only shows pertinent transactions. For example, if we want people out on the floor to only be able to see the 5 or 6 transactions that they need, we can set that up for them as well. So, try not to be overwhelmed by all of that. I know that a few of these look a little crazy, but that's just because I've got all of our transactions inside of there right now. Now, here's where I'm going to go into creating my inventory piece. And what I'm basically going to do here is assemble to a license plate, or basically what we call our license plate assemble. In this process here, I'm going to go ahead and create a license plate, and I'm just going to build this license plate kind of on the fly, if you will. So there's a way here that I could just go ahead and build one and do that. For example, say I know that maybe this came off one of our systems or something similar. We know that it's an LP for a license plate, and it's from Houston. I'll type LPHOU into the search bar here, and maybe we create some sort of naming scheme that operates like that. So we have a feature like that where you could scan that created license plate, for example, if it was already sitting on a barcode ready to go on the pallet. If we were pre-labeling, you could definitely use that as an easy option. Another thing that you can obviously do is just have the system generate a new one for us as well. On the screen, the users would just click this button down at the bottom that says New LP. Once the user clicks that, the system would generate a new license plate for us automatically. So we'll continue with our example here and use this license plate that the system generated for us. This S you see here stands for skid, which we just use the letter S for simplicity, and a lot of our customers do as well. We also have a bunch of P or whatever letter you choose as well for pallet. With our situation here, we can look up locations that are around the facility and actually choose the location of where we're going to be building this license plate. So I know that I'm going to be building this license plate location at potentially purchase ordering 1, for example, or maybe in the receive staging area. Whatever location it might be would work. In my example here, all my stuff is stored inside of this purchase one. So I'm going to go into that example location. Before I continue with the location, however, I'd just like to briefly go over that location drop-down menu for users that you just saw a moment ago. That being the area where I just grabbed the location of where we're going to be building the license plate at. This is something that some customers have inquired about regarding what would be visible there for them to see on their device. In my example, I had a large number of locations visible to select, and I hypothetically chose from purchase ordering one or the receiving staging area or wherever I would want to. Rather than giving every location on Syteline, we can actually get this set up for you where it is only containing specific locations that would be used for building up containers, skids, or pallets. It's kind of more of an available location situation as well, so we can work on that with users to get that set up. What it actually kind of works nicely on is that you could break your warehouse up into zones as well. That's kind of one of the things that we've done with people previously, is that if you have your warehouse, you can break your warehouse up into a zone and then assign the users to those separate zones. If we know that Ben, for example, is only ever going to be working in this one warehouse zone and therefore only building pallets in this one warehouse zone, assign him that specific section, and then when he goes to look for his locations, it'll only show him valid locations in his personal zone. That's one way that we've done it. It can be modified as kind of a warehouse zone setup, and that actually matches Syteline as well. So that's a way you can kind of create the menu to only contain specific locations. If not, then there's a way that we can kind of trick it inside of Viewpoint. In Viewpoint, we can also handle that and make sure the zones and everything are correct, but then obviously updated correctly back in Syteline on the back end. So that's just one other part of the location menu I want to touch on before continuing. As we're building that, what it's going to do now is it's going to sit and repeat and basically lock this information in. You can see now that we can't change these two sections anymore. Those are locked in for now, and what we're going to do is we're just going to scan our items onto it and keep going. For my instance here, things will work a little differently as I'm still in lockdown with the pandemic. So I've got to type this item number in manually, but if I were at the office, I'd be able to simply scan this in for you right off the barcode. Again, for this example, I'm typing in my item number, but you guys would simply be able to scan this in right off the barcodes as they were coming on the boxes, on the items themselves, or wherever that's located. After scanning the item, that's what it's going to show you. You're going to see a little bit of descriptive information about what it is, the unit of measure, for example, and now you'll choose the quantity that you're adding to this license plate. So, how much am I assembling to the license plate? I'm going to assemble 15 onto there, for example. So that's one way we can do this process. We've now scanned the barcode, and if we want to, we can go ahead and label at this point. We could print out a label, and if I want to go ahead and label this onto here now, it would show the S1440, and it would now have this one item attached to it. However, we don't want to do that process of labeling right now. We want to add more items to the license plate first, so we're going to go back and we're going to scan some more. For example, we're going to say that we want to add P10000 to the plate here as well. This item is actually a padded seat now, and we'll say we want to add 20 quantity to the order. Now, we could say that's it, that's the last item we wanted to add to this license plate, and let's go ahead and print at this point. And if you were to enter into here and print, it would actually send a label out for you as well. In my demo environment that you can see here, I have this set up to where it shows the label print every time just as a reference, but you can actually have it be set to where the F10 print button you see here down in the bottom right is what would activate this process for you. So you could just scan and scan and scan your items constantly, and once you've scanned everything, then the user would just click the button down here. It would take them to that F10 print screen, and then they would just be able to pick and choose. Just in case you guys thought that might be a little annoying, this is just because of the demo setup that we have. But that little button down there always shows up and can be used to print. So now we've just built our license plate. We've built it, we've scanned items onto it, and we've also gone ahead and labeled it. Now later on when we go to actually do our picking process, we can be directed to go and get that specific license plate, grab that license plate, and use it during our picking process. So that's one way that we can do that, referring to building that license plate up from scratch. Just to show you again kind of the fact that this did actually go through on the back end here, I can show you inside of our engine view. So this is just going to the back side here, and I can actually come in and I can show you that the license plate S1440 that we just created will be located down here at the very end. I'll select the My Forms drop-down menu, select Inquiry, and then License Plate. Now I'll just make my way to the very end. And there it is. So there's our S1440. It's going to show you what location it's in. It'll actually show you some information such as the user that created it, which is us. It shows the date and time that it was built and even shows the transaction that was used to create it. A user can also then come up here once you have it selected, click View Contents, and as that runs and opens up, it'll show you what's on there and the current quantities that are on there as well. So that's kind of a nice feature where you can keep track of these items, see all the stuff that's out there on the shop floor, where it's located, what's in it, and things like that as well. So just to recap everything overall, that is the entry-level process here of building a license plate, assigning items to it, and getting it ready to go into our pick process for shipping later. And that now concludes this tutorial. Thank you for watching.